And welcome back to the On Recipe and another edition of NXT Out of 10. And yeah, it's a big episode of NXT today because of course it's the last show before the Great American Bash. So yeah, there's lots of stuff happening, as well as the Evolution pre-LE, which does feature some NXT matches on the Sunday. So yeah, let's get straight into things. And we start things off with Ricky Saints taking on all three members of Evolved's Vanity Project. Ethan Page was there to support the young guys. Brad Baylor was the first opponent for Saints, and he came out of the gate not hoping to surprise the former North American champ. Saints pinned Baylor with a tornado DDT before Ricky Smokes took over. These two Rickies battled through the break until Saints scored his second win with a pinning combination. This just left the old champion Jackson Drake, and after an energetic exchange, Saints scored the win with a Rochambeau. Out of the three young prospects, Drake gave Saints the biggest challenge. However, the match was designed to make him look resilient and a fighter, and yeah, it accomplished that goal. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Pretty solid start to the show. Before we got Tavion Heights against Charlie Dempsey. NQCC already lost Bourne, and Tavion Heights was looking to get out of the group with a win against Dempsey this week. They started off with a simple arm drag and takedowns before Dempsey hit the real strike with an uppercut that sent his protege out the ring. Dempsey slapped him, and Heights immediately turned up the aggression and started overpowering him at every turn. We returned for a break to see Heights dominating, but Dempsey used his technical ability to wrestle to the mat for some submission work. Ren Sinclair ended up throwing the towel to Heights to give Dempsey the victory. A good match with a slightly weird ending. Sinclair throwing in the towel may have been pre-planned between her and Dempsey, but she was acting sorry after it happened. So yeah, a bit of a strange ending, but nonetheless, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Before we got Mike Santana and Joe Hendry versus High Rise, and DuPont and Gui were taking on High Rise with Wesley, of course, at ringside. Gui and DuPont had the initial advantage, but the TNA stars sent them out of the ring as the show cut to a break. When we returned, High Rise were back in control of Hendry. Once Santana got the hot tag, the former Proud and Powerful member began on the roll. Trick showed up and attacked Hendry, leaving Santana to fend for himself. Fortunately for him, he was able to get the win on his own. Two semi-dirty finishes in a row isn't ideal, and it felt like this time didn't really have the match get going. So yeah, it did feel a bit short of expectations. So yeah, 5 out of 10 from me. Before we got Laney Reid versus Lani Jordan, but before that, Femi and Inamura had a face-to-face meeting ahead of their match. This was business as usual. Not much happened, but they did a decent job. Before we got into the match, the two ladies having a match after a disagreement in the locker room. Reid's still new on the scene and looking to make an impact, so she has been talking big game. Jordan wanted her to back it up, and she proceeded to do exactly that by dominating much of the first half of the match. There was a technical issue which caused the feed to cut out while Jordan was making a comeback, so seeing her moonsault to the win as soon as the return was surprising. Other than that, this is pretty predictable, but decent performance. Hale attacked Reid after the match and drove her out of the arena. So yeah, setting up an additional storyline there. But yeah, not a huge amount to it. 5 out of 10. Before we got Hank and Tank versus the Culling, Rizzo oversaw a meeting between Tony D, Crucifino and Channing Lorenzo. This didn't really lead to a resolution, but it looks like WWE's tying with the idea of reuniting the group or having them go separate ways for good. So yeah, it'd be intriguing to see where we go. Before we got to Hank and Tank defending against Spears and Nico Vance, they started brawling before the bell, and all things settled. The Cullen were in control and taking Hank apart. It may be surprising to hear, but this ended up being the best thing we saw all night because everyone brought a lot of energy and enthusiasm to their performances. Even Damon and Paxley were doing their part about taking away any attention from the ring. After a fun back and forth, Hank and Tank scored the win. The Cullen came close after looking great here, so this may not be the last time they challenge for the belts either. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see where we go for that going forward. So yeah, 6 out of 10 from me. NXT then finished with the GM Ava talking about what's in store for the women's division at Sunday's Evolution. This led to her being joined by several women who each gave a brief promo. As a whole, Tuesday's NXT was a fairly run-of-the-mill affair. It had a lot to do with hyping the weekend's event, so it's fair lacking in ring. None of the matches were bad, but none of them really stood out. The tag belt was probably the best on the show. It felt like WWE's dropped the ball on hyping Evolution, so it's nice to see a bit of focus to win the show. But yeah, overall 6 out of 10.
That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.